I am Dr. Antonietta Gatti. I am a physicist and bioengineer. I am an expert in nanopathologies. Nanopathology is a new discipline and it deals with the impact of micro and nanoparticles on human health. In this case, I am studying cryoglobulinemia, and we are investigating the cryoprecipitates with a new technique, electron scanning microscope and X-ray microprobe of an energy dispersive spectroscopy. So we verified that inside the cryoprecipitates, micro and nanoparticles, mostly nanoparticles, submicrobic nanoparticles, coming from environmental pollution, and they are inside the cryoprecipitates. When someone is exposed to environmental particulate pollution, many pollutants are likely to enter the organism. That may occur through a number of mechanisms, the most common ones being inhalation and ingestion. In the case of inhalation, the particles can be trapped in the lung tissue, and that happens when the particles are large enough. In the case of nanoparticles, they can rather easily negotiate the lung barrier and enter the blood circulation. That may lead to an interaction between debris and blood component. Nanoparticles are roughly of the same order of magnitude as proteins, and with proteins they can interact, besides being able to interact with other blood components, like, for example, red cells. Through a field emission gun scanning electron microscope, we investigated some cryoprecipitates. In this picture, you can see a silica spherule embedded in blood proteins. This is a case of 3 iron particles, and this is another case where particles are made of aluminum. One of the possible consequences of these presences is vasculitis. The reason is that the particles adhering to the endothelium as they run through the blood vessels, inducing symptoms of vasculitis. Once they reach the tissue, they may induce an inflammatory reaction. The complex between particles and proteins is not recognized as self by the organisms, thus triggering an autoimmune reaction. At present, we are carrying on with our research aimed at investigating the mutual behavior of particles and blood proteins, a promising study whose results can explain much of what we still ignore about the meaning of cryoglobulinemia and the origin of other pathologies.